Page 506. Consciousness cannot arise and exist without feeling, nor feeling without consciousness. And, furthermore, all the other mental phenomena which belong to the same state of consciousness are inseparably bound up with it into a single unit and have no independent existence. Page 510. Any gamma resultant and morally. Neutral feeling, vedana, whether agreeable, disagreeable, or indifferent, whether happy or unhappy feeling, may be a condition to the subsequent craving, tanha, either by way of simple inducement or of inducement as object.
Okay, simple inducement means that it's a connection to some other object, or it may be inducement to inducement as an object. That means the feeling itself is desirable or not desirable, depends. So here craving has these two facets. Either it's either it's craving to have something or it's a craving to get rid of something. So either it's a craving that is a basis for greed, or it's a craving that is a basis for hatred. Now, regarding the note from page 506, this is very important, and it's extremely hard to accept that for some people. That's why it's necessary to meditate. So the idea here is not only that consciousness cannot arise without feelings, but consciousness cannot arise without feelings, perceptions, and intentions. Always you have all four. There's no way how you can have consciousness without feelings, perceptions, intentions, or how you can have consciousness and feelings without perceptions and intentions, or how you can have consciousness, feelings, perceptions without intentions, or how you can have feelings, perceptions, intentions without consciousness, or how you can have perceptions and intentions without consciousness and feelings, or how you can have intention without consciousness, feelings, and perceptions. Always these four are dependent on each other. They are interdependent. But what do we mean by that? What do we mean, for example, by feelings? Do we mean that there always needs to be some pleasant or unpleasant feeling? No. Think about these, rather the remaining three, feelings, perceptions, intentions, on a scale. And that scale is always present. So you have a scale of feelings. Think of a scale always as a thermometer. So in a thermometer, you have higher level. Maybe you have seen these old thermometers, or you have one behind your window. So you have, if you have a thermometer, you have a higher temperature, you have lower temperature, and then you have zero. Right? And this higher, lower, and zero are all on that one scale, all on that one thermometer. Likewise, you can think of feelings. You have pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, and neutral feelings. That means neither pleasant nor unpleasant feelings. All of that is on one scale. So whatever happens, you have a feeling. You see, if you think you have no feeling, actually that's the feeling which we call neither pleasant nor unpleasant. So it is a feeling anyway, because it's somewhere on the scale. Likewise with the perception. You don't perceive anything. Oh yes, that's the perception of not perceiving anything. You have the intention. You have the intention not to do anything. Yes, that's the intention of not doing anything. So always there's something on the scale. It's very important to understand that always there are all four aggregates of the mind. The only times when you do not have these four aggregates of the mind is when the mind is in Bhavanga, in the so-called, Bhavanga here implies that it like maintains existence. So in Bhavanga, what you do is that you basically just sleep. When you fall deep into sleep and you do not have dreams, then we say, according to the Theravada scriptures, that you have achieved Bhavanga, or that you have fallen into Bhavanga. You can also have Bhavanga when you achieve jhana, so before you achieve jhana or after you achieve jhana, you may fall into bhavanga. Jhana and bhavanga is something else. The bhavanga mind and the jhana mind is something else. It's not the same thing. Likewise, the nibbana mind and bhavanga mind is also something else. When you die, before you get born, you also have their bhavanga. This is a very special bhavanga, and it's the bhavanga of death. So we call it chuti chitta, the death consciousness, or bhavanga. And then you have patisanti chitta, the moment of consciousness when you get born somewhere else. And that very first moment of being born somewhere else is the moment of birth consciousness. And it is again a kind of bhavanga. So what is bhavanga? Bhavanga maintains the level of your existence. So when you are a human, you always need to have bhavanga that introduces and that concludes every section of your mental stream. So our stream is divided into these sections. You already know it from the book. And these sections start by bhavangas, they end by bhavangas. And each of these sections is basically just how we relate to an object. So there's a ability to relate to an object. There's preparedness to relate to an object. There's awareness that there may be an object. There's a contact with the object. Then there's the awareness that there is an object. And then there's the free will to decide whether this is right or wrong. And then there are the javanas, which are explained in various ways. And then again, there's bhavanga. And then again, there is some relation to an object. So what is an object? Object is either visible object in the eye, audible object in the ear, olfactory object in the nose, gustatory object in the tongue, tactile object on the body, or it's a mental object in the mind. So these are objects, and the mind stream is divided into these sections. Now, each of these sections starts and ends by bhavanga. But within those streams, within those sections, you always need to have all of these four aggregates. You cannot say that sometimes you have 3 aggregates or 2 aggregates. However, when you have bhavanga, you have only consciousness. And we take bhavanga as consciousness. So there are times when there is only consciousness, but it's not an object consciousness, it's only the existence, I think it's called the life continuum. Some people call it life continuum. I don't think that makes any sense to anyone without explanation, but whatever. If it helps you to remember what that means, it's good. So these bhavangas are very important, but mostly that would be an interesting question. Are we more in bhavanga or more not in bhavanga? I would say we are more not in bhavanga, but we can discuss about that. If you, for example, well, is that a bhavanga? Is that a bhavanga? That would be interesting. If you, for example, get born as asanya satta, as a being without perceptions, does that mean that you are all that time in bhavanga? Probably yes. You will probably need to have their bhavanga so you do not change into something else. So just to finalize this very simple explanation, what is bhavanga? Bhavanga maintains your existence. For example, you are born as a human and you stay being a human all the way until you die. You do not change into an animal or into a god and so on during the lifetime of being a human. Then, for example, you are born as a god or a deity or deva, whatever you want, call it the way you want. We know what we talk about. And you are born, or you actually appear as a god. Gods are not born. There's no birth happening, but they appear with full body, even with psychic powers, excellent intelligence, excellent knowledge. They appear in the heaven, and then throughout their life, all the way until they die in the heaven, they maintain their existence as gods. They do not turn into God of a different sphere, and they also do not turn into an animal or into anything else. So Bhavanga maintains the plane of your existence. It's very useful, especially for those who have the psychic power of changing their appearance. Suppose that you would get the psychic power that allows you to change yourself into an animal or into a god. Now, suppose you would change yourself into an animal and you would not be able to change yourself back into a human. That would be pretty bad. And Bhavanga makes sure that this will never happen. May happen in some stories, but not in reality, and absolutely not in accordance with Theravada Buddhism. So we believe it is never possible for a human or for any living being to change their plane of existence without dying. You could say, but wait, what if it happens anyway? Well, then if it happens anyway, well, then we would say that you actually died and you were born as something else right away. So there's always a way how to explain it out. But the main point here is that the Bhavanga is maintaining your plane of existence, and only through death you can change the level of your Bhavanga, or the, how to say that, or the kind of your Bhavanga. So only if you die, you may be born with a different kind of Bhavanga, let's say Bhavanga of an animal, Bhavanga of a god, and so on. Okay, so always the four aggregates of the mind are always available. We could say that for most of living beings, you actually have all of the five aggregates. That means including the body, the physical body. But there are four worlds in the Brahma realms where we believe the beings have no body. They have no physical body. Instead, they are just mind. Okay? And that mind is relating to the object of their deep meditative, concentrative attainment, which is not really an object. We could say it's an object, but it's not an obvious object from this world. So either they're concentrated on the infinity of space, or they're concentrated on the infinity of consciousness, or on the so-called nothingness, but it's not really nothingness, or on neither perception nor non-perception. So these are the four different worlds where the living beings have only mind and not body at all. But even with that mind, after a long, long, long time, they actually die there and they're born somewhere else based on their karma.